I want to talk about child abuse. Child physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, all of it, pick your poison, child abuse. I became an attorney because I wanted to help people. I still want to help people in any way that I can. And that is the beauty of social media. Sometimes social media is used for bad things, but I like to think that most of the time it can be used for good. Sharing stories, making people aware of things that they may not be aware of. This conversation, or rather this monologue I'm currently having, was triggered by some recent postings on social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, stories that people have told me that they've watched, and all of this happened in the span of 4 weeks, meaning were posted in the span of 4 weeks. And that reminded me of why I became a lawyer in the first place. As a very little girl, going back, at the age of 3, 4, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I never wanted to be anything else. I didn't have a plan B. I always wanted to be a lawyer. And I'll give you 2 short stories, of why I wanted to be a lawyer. One of them, back in Nigeria, and we lived in Port Harcourt. That's where I was born. My mom was robbed. Well, her items was, her purse was stolen. My mom's purse was stolen. I think she was walking or she was in the market. I don't remember all of the detail, but her purse was stolen, and in that purse contained pictures of her children and things like that. And she didn't really miss the money because she felt that the person was probably hungry or whatever, but she would have loved to have her pictures back. And when my mom came back and told us what happened, the first thing I thought of was, oh my goodness, that poor guy was probably really hungry, stole my mom's purse so that he could take money to buy food, and now he's in jail and God knows for how long. So I said to myself, when I become a lawyer, I want to help people like that. Not to encourage stealing, but to help people who are in desperate need. To help shine light on the fact that there are people that are so hungry that they unfortunately resort to things like theft, amongst other ills. The solution is not to put a band-aid on it, but to do something to stop what caused them to do that in the first place. So that's one. Number 2, there was a female attorney who was our neighbor, and I admired her because she was female and she was a professional. And even at that very young age, I knew that that was not something to be taken lightly. I knew even at that age that in the society that I was born into, that it would be challenging for a woman to attain such level of education and career. So I wanted to be a lawyer just like that. I don't even know what type of law she practiced. Thirdly, there was a man in the neighborhood who sexually abused children, and I will call him out in this video. I've waited decades, I dare say, to have this sort of opportunity. My goal was, once I came to the US, part of what I've always kind of dreamt about, so to speak, was that when I become a lawyer, I will go back to Nigeria and try to effect some change. Clearly, Nigeria is not the type of country that welcomes people who want to change the status quo. And that is the main problem. Well, that is one of the main problems that exist in that country. So going there to try to get someone in trouble who is a child molester, you can imagine how that could possibly go, right? So social media is a way that I can do that, to spread the word. So hopefully it's not too late for some people. And also to advise parents on what to watch out for. I'm going to just talk to you from the heart, because this is not planned, there's nothing rehearsed. This is how I feel. Don't think that because you have sons, it will not happen to them. you need to also keep your eyes open, because it is happening. It's happening to everyone. And part of what triggered this whole situation, part of what triggered this for me, was that I was in my office one day, and I saw a notification came in. The notification came in from Facebook, and it was one of these Facebook waves. And I, looked at it to see who it was, and it was someone, I'm not going to mention his name, that I don't really know him, but he was my neighbor back in Port Harcourt, back when I was a very little girl. And I just remember that he was mean. I remember that he was rude, did not have a good reputation at all. But I was vexed. The moment I saw the wave and the name clicked, when I saw his name, I was just really irritated. Like, why is he contacting me? Like, well, why is this guy waving at me? What is this? And it brought up memories from the past. His brother, I don't know if his brother is still alive, but his brother at the time was a lawyer and my neighbor. So he lived with his brother, and that is how we knew him. His brother's name is Tony Nikoro. Tony Nikoro. He lived in Port Harcourt in a Lakahia housing estate. And I understand that he no longer lives there, he moved. Tony Nikoro used to abuse little girls in the neighborhood. Okay, this is not defamatory, because by definition, defamation is destroying someone's character, destroying someone's good character. He does not have a good character, so this cannot possibly be defamation. And if he claims that it is, then truth is a defense to defamation. And I dare him to actually do something about this so that we can talk about it some more. Since I am very sure that the Nigerian authorities will not do something about Tony Nikoro's sexual abuse of girls back then, and they can do investigations and find out, but I'm sure they won't, because he's an attorney, he's a lawyer in Nigeria, so-called respected people in society. The people who abuse your kids, by the way, parents, I'm a parent myself, okay? And I will protect my child to the best of my ability, and God help whomever tries to hurt her. You need to really be careful who you have around your children. We teach our children to beware of strangers, to beware of people who look strange, who look weird. In America, they will say the boogeyman. Well, guess what? The boogeyman is not always someone who looks creepy or weird or homeless or whatever, you paint a picture of the boogeyman being. The boogeyman wears a suit. The boogeyman is married. And there are boogie women too. Okay? These are people who are quote-unquote respected in society. These are attorneys. These are, physicians. These are engineers. It's not just the houseboy next door or the crazy man, who roams around the street. The person who is going to attack your children, the person who is going to abuse your children and do it successfully is the person that you least suspect. Those are the ones that are going to groom them. And you know what message you send to your children when you give someone such respect and reverence, like they are above all things and can do no wrong, is you make it difficult for your children to trust coming to you and letting you know when something is actually going wrong, and when the perpetrator is the person who mommy or daddy respects. Too many people have gotten away with abusing children and have nothing happened to them because of their status in society. I mean, without even going into the news here in the United States, there are cases of so-called big men, all these rich people who do all these things, or who did all these things years ago that they're accused of doing, who allegedly did all these things, and now they're being brought to book. I would like to see something like that happen with Tony Nikoro. I don't know if he's alive, but I certainly wish he's alive, so that, not so he can continue molesting. I don't know if he stopped. To me, it's a disease, and I don't think a person like that can stop. When you have someone who's 2 years old or 3 years old look at a grown man and say, bad boy, as a parent, all kinds of bells should be going off in your head. If your child regresses when they're around in a certain environment or around particular people, they're no longer themselves, he or she becomes more shy, more introverted, watch out. If they become even more aggressive, agitated, suddenly, watch out. There are too many signs. There are too many signs, and you need to either look for them or pay attention to it and make your children understand that if ever anything happens, if anyone touches them, and you need to be vocal about what the touch is. You need to be vocal. You can't use cute little names for body parts. You need to use the actual names and let them know. If this happens, if that happens, let me know and I will believe you. And that is the key. Tell me and I will believe you. Because if your child feels like you're not going to believe him or her, your child will never come to you for anything. I hope this video gets to the appropriate authorities in charge of the bar in Nigeria, because Tony Nikoro needs to be arrested and charged with child sexual abuse. It was brought to my attention a few years ago that he had a daughter, and the daughter died, shortly after birth or so. And to tell you how deeply this affected, me, this whole story. When I heard that his daughter died, I felt bad for the little girl, and then immediately something clicked in my head that said she escaped. How sad is that someone died and you look at the situation and say she escaped? That tells you how bad this man was. This wasn't a guy that would have been defined as being ugly or needed help getting women. I remember very well he used to date a girl who attended university, a woman younger than him, and she seemed to be quite attractive, but he was still molesting little girls, toddlers, babies. That man has a problem, a mental problem. Sometimes people think it's guys that can't get girlfriends, and I keep using men, but that's not to say that women don't sexually abuse, because women do. Women do also sexually abuse children, boys and girls. So this is not about attacking men. I'm just speaking because this particular person is the person that I have personal knowledge about his wayward behavior to be nice. I'm trying to really watch my language, because I don't know, children may be watching this video as well. And it is very sad. I want the appropriate authorities to bring Tony Nikoro to book. I don't know where he lives right now, but he lived in Port Harcourt, up until maybe the early 2000s. He lived in the Lekaya housing estate. I will not mention his wife's name, but it begins with an F. I'm not being facetious. It does begin with an F. I don't know if they're still married. But what bothers me about her is how she did not know. I mean, everyone knew and everyone kept quiet. And that is what makes this society, we live in so sad. In the United States, I'm not saying that, sexual abuse doesn't happen, it happens. But there are things in place in the system. Sexual abuse happens everywhere, okay? It's not just akin to Nigeria, it happens everywhere, but I'm speaking of what I know and what I know well. In the United States, okay, there are systems in place so that if someone is accused, there will be an investigation. If someone makes any kind of allegation, there will be an investigation. And if the perpetrator is found, he or she will be brought to book. There will be charges, and it will be the state against that person. But with a country like Nigeria, who knows? Anything can happen. Maybe the state doesn't care. Maybe they're leaving it up to the family. I don't know, but it is just sad. In America, it would be the state against that person, and if the family chooses to pursue it civilly, they can't. So I am pleading with anyone who watches this video who forward it to the right authorities in Nigeria so that Tony Nikoro can be brought to book for his crimes. He should not be allowed to practice law. He is a disgrace to the profession. I became an attorney so that I can fight people like Tony Nikoro. It's not enough to watch videos on WhatsApp and just pass it around, from one person to the other and say, oh, that's unfortunate, and then move on to the next news. People are suffering. Children are dying. You can imagine the stories that you don't hear of. People are wicked. That woman who beat up that child, whose husband is a lawyer, her husband claimed that he didn't know what was going on. In my opinion, he may be complicit in the matter. How do you not know what's going on? The child had marks all the way up her neck. It was physically visible. She looked emaciated. She was definitely not well taken care of. She was not taken care of at all. Child abuse is horrible. As adults, we can defend ourselves. We can make decisions to stay in abusive relationships. It's sick, but hey, there are people who do it. They choose to stay in abusive relationships, and that's them. But a child really has no option. When your father or your mother gives you away to someone because he or she can't take care of you, and they send you somewhere to be somebody's house girl, what do? What recourse do you have? If you live in an environment where you're being molested on a daily basis and your parents don't pick up on it, what recourse do you have? And even when people pick up on it and know about it, but no one wants to do anything about it because the perpetrator is someone that's politically, powerful or financially powerful or whatever the case may be, or respected in society. So you feel that, taking the word of a small child over this person will make you look stupid. That's ridiculous. We need to stand up for children. Please, let's pay attention to what's happening to our children. If your child is giving you a sign, if there are changes in your child physically or mentally, their personality has changed, pay attention to it. I wanted to be an attorney so that I can help. And I would like to help any way that I can. I'm using this platform and social media to bring attention to sexual abuse. Sexual abuse has to stop. And I am calling out Tony Nikoro. Tony Nikoro is a child abuser. And Tony Nikoro, if you're watching this, you can thank your brother George. Thank him, because he sent me an unwarranted and unsolicited wave on Facebook that triggered those old memories. So congratulations, Tony Nikoro. You owe your brother some thanks.